Brian Kohberger's alibi has been released. Mr. Kohberger moved to Pullman, Washington in June of 2022 as an avid runner and hiker. He explored many areas of the Palouse. Of note, he explored Hawaii Park in July of 2022, and this became a favorite location. Alright, but this park is the opposite direction from Moscow, so they're gonna try to say that he was over there the other night. After the school year began, Mr. Kohberger was busy with classes and work at Washington State University, and his running and hiking decreased, but did not stop. Instead, his nighttime drives increased. That is the ideal hobby when you have visual snow and you can't even see shit at night, right? This is supported by data from Mr. Kohberger's phone, showing him in the countryside late at night and or in the early morning on several occasions. The phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several late evenings and early mornings, including in November, depicting the night sky. Mr. Kohberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022, as he often did, to hike and run and or see the moon and stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, including Hawaii Park. Alright, so I think that they're trying to say that the white Elantra in those cameras near the house was not him. Mr. Kohberger intends to offer testimony of a cell tower expert to show that Kohberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho, on November 13, 2022. That Brian Kohberger's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman highway in the early morning hours of November 13th. All right, we're getting somewhere, finally. They're saying that wasn't him circling the house. Now we know that if there's a camera with his plate on it, he's screwed. And thus, this could not be the vehicle captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. Additional information as to Mr. Kohberger's whereabouts as the early morning hours progress, including additional analysis of Mr. Ray, will be provided once the state provides discovery requested, and now subject to an upcoming motion to compel. If not disclosed, Mr. Ray's testimony will also reveal that critical exculpatory evidence further corroborating Mr. Kohberger's alibi was either not preserved or has been withheld. He's committing to the fact that his car wasn't in Moscow. I'm confused. Was his phone not off? Did he just lose cell tower reception? I mean, it's possible if it's like in the mountains. But the thing is, because his phone was off, which might have been part of the plan, how is a cell tower expert going to be able to say where he was when his phone was off, right? But at least they committed to something. The Goncalves family responds to Brian Kohberger's alibi. We have been waiting on this information for months, and it has finally arrived. It is so hard not knowing anything about the case, and you find you have to cling to dates, motions, and hearings in order to figure out anything. A big part of this has been waiting on the alibi information. Now that it is here, we feel even more confident in the prosecution of the defendant. The defendant's claim is that the defendant was driving late at night, hiking, running, and stargazing. We are not sure why it has taken over a year for this to come out, as those don't seem to be complicated activities. We believe that if this alibi had any weight, it would have been submitted months ago. It is also in direct conflict with the probable cause affidavit that states the defendant's phone was turned off between 2:47 a.m. and 4:46 a.m. So if the defendant was driving around and there is cell phone information that he was in a different place, it would be either before or after the murders. Hence, not really an alibi. We continue to look forward to justice in this case and can now put this part of the proceeding behind us. Thank you for all your support for our family. Well, it does sound like a pretty convoluted alibi to me, too. I mean, are they saying that the cell tower expert that they have is going to put him in a different place than the murders while his phone is off? Or was his phone not off? Did he have another phone? Like, what are they talking about? To me, it sounds like the way that it's worded, Ann Taylor kind of skirted around the issue because she's not saying, at this specific time, we know that he was here. She's saying that she has an expert that's going to show that, you know, he was around those other areas, which he was frequently around those other areas because he was out there taking pictures of the freaking stars. Was he really? Like, does he have like one picture of stars? Does he have a couple? I mean, was it that premeditated that he actually like went out to that park and took pictures of stars every night? Or is he completely innocent? And it just took him a year to come up with this alibi that's not even an alibi? I mean, God. And they're only talking about that one instance, the cannabis shop, right? That's the only thing that they call out. So for whatever reason, you know, I'm thinking maybe that really is a different car than his that went by the cannabis shop traveling on that highway. That's only one camera of the many, many videos they have of that white Elantra. So is she gonna hinge it all on that one video and try to like prove that that video is wrong? Like, I don't get it. I feel like her strategy here is gonna be that they lose cell tower reception in between these places. But the thing is, the probable cause affidavit doesn't say that he lost cell tower reception. It doesn't say his phone is turned off either, but it does seem like it was turned off, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know if they'll be able to determine that from his phone. I would think that they would. Or if it was just out of range, which, I mean, if it was just out of range, then maybe he really was in the park. But if that were the case, I think he would have said that right away, right? Immediately, he would have been like, what are you talking about? I was nowhere near there. I was at this park, and that's what I do all the time. It's strange, but at the same time, I mean, if he is a loner with a boner, you know, he's not gonna have an alibi. So, I mean, maybe that's his best bet. His phone's his alibi, right? And the cell tower data is in the cell tower data, which they don't have any during the time of the murders. I don't know. I think it's pretty weak. It doesn't make any sense. Like, he would have said that right away. A lot of people are like, oh, cell phone pings, they can be 25 miles apart. That's true. But the cell phone pings are usually just used in the preliminary stage. Once they get the phone, they usually can get more exact location data out of the phone through GPS and through other mechanisms. The ping data is just because they only serve the search warrant to that cell tower with the phone number. That's not the same as getting an extraction from a phone. Unless he scrubbed his phone somehow, then I think they have more exact information. But if he did scrub his phone, guilty. And we still have the issue of the DNA. Like, his DNA was on the knife sheath by the body. Could someone have planted it? Sure. Is that likely? No. The amount of DNA that was on the knife sheath was so small, I don't think that, you know, someone would have planted it purposely, knowing that the DNA was there. Most likely, the person was wearing gloves and didn't think there was DNA getting on anywhere. And the car issue is strange. I mean, because they were looking for a different car in the beginning. But was the expert just, I mean, were the videos that bad that you really couldn't see? Did he just have the cheap version of the Elantra that didn't have like the upgraded fog lights, and that's what they went by to think it was an older version? We don't know. But coming out with an alibi like this a year later, it's a joke. They had to wait to get cell phone experts to look at the data before he could figure out his alibi. That's not an alibi.
Hello.
How you doing?
How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. Pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay. Cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU.